You're listening to Inspirational Breakfast.
Naj and John with you through till 9 this morning. It's Thursday, it's the 7th of February, and we've got a very special guest coming up in a moment or two. Former financial journalist and lay minister Nick Mayhew Smith, who spent the past 5 years visiting and writing about Britain's most sacred sites and shrines. I was going to say holy sites as well, because the book is called, of course, Britain's Holiest Places, and we'll be giving away a copy every day this week.
It catalogues some amazingly different places, from O'Kendrick's Cave, and I'm going to struggle with this word every time.
Llandudno.
What John said in North Wales to St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, hundreds more. Right, tonight a new TV series is being aired that's going to show Britain in a divine light. Former financial journalist and lay minister Nick Mayhew Smith has spent the past 5 years visiting and writing about Britain's most sacred sites and shrines to research his book.
Yeah, well, an excellent book it is, and the fruits of his hard work, which often involved camping unglamorously, I'm told, in remote muddy fields with just cows or sheep for company, is to be brought to life on our TV screens in a unique 6-part series.
Yes, Britain's Holiest Places is a joint commission from the BBC and SC4, that's like Welsh Channel 4, includes interviews with the Archbishop of Westminster, Vincent Nichols, and the Dean of St Albans, Geoffrey John.
Well, Nick joins us now in the studio. Good morning to you, Nick.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for getting up at this unearthly hour. When you started getting into this project, did you ever dream it would end up being so successful, so widely appreciated?
I used to dream about simply finishing it for most of the way through. There were 500 places to go, and it was a long trek through Britain from Orkney down to the Channel Islands. As I went through these places, I did often wonder why these stories and why these sites are often so neglected. These are some very, very beautiful and atmospheric, kind of enchanted landscapes you can find, with some amazing stories from the dawn of Christianity in Britain. And I just thought these aren't really properly celebrated for whatever reason. And I did think, you know, people in Britain we do love our heritage here, and we do have a long, long tradition of Christianity going all the way back to the Roman era. So I thought, well, I'll dust these stories down, I'll show these places, I'll photograph them and see what people make of it.
Well, yeah, I was going to say well done for the pictures as well, because there are hundreds and hundreds of glossy photographs in there, and they're all absolutely terrific, and they really bring home the atmosphere of the places. But gosh, I mean, when you started, did you know you were going to have the title 500 Sacred Sites?
Well, when I started it sort of narrowed itself down to roughly 500, and I visited 200 or 300 more sites that aren't in the book.
Did you really?
Yeah, because what I thought when I started off writing the book, I thought, well, I'll just sit at my desk here and get some old history books and do a bit of research and so on, and write about it from home and visit a few. But I found that the moment you go to a holy place, a sacred site of any description, what you read back at home in a history book bears almost no resemblance to the reality, the perceived reality of standing there, surrounded by the stones or on the wild landscape, and just soaking up the extraordinary atmospheres that there are. So I realised I had to get in the car and go.
And actually go. Well, you know, I've got to then ask you, what is a holy place? We've been asking people this morning, what makes somewhere holy?
Well, I kind of can cheat on that, because rather than giving a long, complicated theological answer, I would say it's a place that's been marked out by Christians, particularly in this country, Christians, as somewhere special, somewhere where ongoing devotional use has taken place. They're places you can go and have some sort of experience of the divine if you're a Christian and believer. If you're an atheist, you can go and enjoy these places for an emotional connection with the past, with the sort of hopes and fears of our ancestors who worshipped in the landscape.
Interestingly, we're starting to get some messages in from listeners, because we asked them, is there any such thing as a holy place? Hi, John. And Naj says, Tracy, yes, there is. I had an overwhelming feeling of God's awesome presence at St David's in Wales. I don't know what she means by St David's.
I do.
You do? Okay, fine.
You know every place.
Let me just finish this. God's presence seemed to be in the air around me. By contrast, I had a horrible, oppressive, crushing feeling, making me want to escape in a certain town in Devon, which was very new age. I've never wanted to go back there. Yes, I'm sure holy and unholy places exist. God bless you all at Premier, says Tracy. So St David's.
St David's, it's less than a week after St David's Day.
Yes, we did celebrate it here.
We did indeed. It's the patron saint of Wales.
Yes.
And his cathedral and his shrine are at the tip of Pembrokeshire.
Okay.
So bottom left-hand corner of Wales, there is the cathedral and shrine to St David, which was actually refurbished 12 months ago.
Okay.
So it's a hot, live topic in the world of religion, where things happen over centuries rather than days. So the shrine of St David has just been reinstated in the cathedral there, and he's the patron saint of Wales, an early church leader, bishop, who led by example. And the Welsh, the leek, for example, the symbol of Wales, is a representation of his very austere diet. He was a man not given over to luxuries in life, so he'd only eat vegetables and drink water.
I was going to say it was the Jews in the desert who said, "What happened to all the leeks we used to have back in Egypt?" You know, so I mean, they were talking about luxury there.
He's a man who was certainly a kind of biblical figure, definitely. Yes. From a man who sort of preached among the animals, as they did back in the sort of Celtic early church.
And in the book, I mean, there's a little kind of grading system and a little system to kind of help you understand a bit more about the place, and you can see whether it's got like a Catholic origins or whether it's got like an Anglican or different denominations. Are you trying to aim it at everyone, just Christians, non-Christians as well?
I started off trying to write a book which attempted to define a holy place very narrowly and give people a kind of lesson in what to believe. And pretty soon that rather unhappy idea fell to bits when I realised the sheer scope of what counts and has counted as Christianity in this country is impossible to shoehorn into any one creed or set of beliefs. There's an enormously diverse background to our Christian belief. All sorts of things have been done in the name of Christianity, and all sorts of experiences can still be had today at these holy places. So I realised actually fairly soon during my work that to define Christianity in any narrow sense is a fool's errand. So I ended up just going to each place, writing about what it felt like and what the history was, and then really encouraging people to make their own minds up.
Okay, so without any prejudice to what about.
And I'm fascinated by the layout of some of these churches, particularly, I mean, because they do reveal the theological history as well. I've got a picture of John Wesley's chapel, the New Room in Bristol here, and where the predominance of the word meant that the pulpit was 6 foot above contradiction, as they say. And there are different styles of places, aren't there, for I'm not particularly thinking of the monuments, but the existing churches, for different theologies. Oh, absolutely. You for the very early churches, you'll find that they will typically be placed next to some kind of water source, because they would baptize outdoors, and baptism was a very big thing, especially when you had a whole nation to convert in the early church. You were baptizing a lot of adults. So they used to have the holy wells in Britain were often sites of some of our earliest churches, so there'd be a supply of natural water for the baptism. And then you can go on, you can trace the history of religious ideas through the buildings. You have perhaps the most stripped down interior of all are the Quaker places. Oh, right. And you can see today in Brigflats in Cumbria and in Jordans, Buckinghamshire, you can see some of the very, very first Quaker buildings, and you can look at the bare boards and just the benches without even an altar or anything, and you realise that this was, the most democratic form of Christianity that there's probably ever been. And what a contrast with that and various cathedrals. The high cathedrals on the other end of the scale, which will place the Eucharist will be at the centre of them. There'll be the high altar. It all focuses on the high altar, the sacrifice of Christ. The rood screen across to stop people, the holiest of holy and all. Keep the hoi polloi out. Yes. That's right. We were all kept well back from any of that. Fascinating stuff.
Well, Nick's going to be with us for the rest of the show. We'll be finding out maybe some of the strangest holy places that he's been to, or maybe even his favourite holy place. But we still want to hear from you about your view of what a holy place is, or if such thing even exists. Okay, do you think a place can be called holy? 08450, I forgot the number for a second. 08450 21 21 21.
Where am I?
It's a good question, and it's Well, it's 27 minutes past 8 now, and I think we just about both know where we are now.
I had a good night's
kind
sleep.
of woken up. You had a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
I didn't hardly slept at all. Anyway, there we are. Where am I? We're trying to find one of Britain's holiest places today, actually, because we're talking to the author Nick Mayhew Smith, and we're giving away the book in this competition. And your first clue said this is the oldest church building in Britain. Who we got?
We're going over to Susan in Dorking. Hey, Susan.
Good morning.
Hi, Susan. Good morning.
Morning.
Where do you think this might be?
I think it might be Greenstead in Essex.
Greenstead. Okay.
Is that a church?
Yes, I think it's called, according to my England's Thousand Best Churches, St Andrew, and it has the oldest wooden nave in Europe. And I can remember the I Spy books of the 1950s and 60s, and when you'd be in the back of a car, and that was one of the churches you had to find.
Do you know, I didn't know that, and I did some training there.
Right.
How about that? Okay.
Well, I mean, the logic seems there, but I'm sorry, Susan, it's
It's the
incorrect.
wrong answer.
Sorry,
mind.
but thanks for
Oh,
trying.
Thank you.
By the way, that lady who rang in, she said she had a Wheaton Terrier. They're lovely dogs. We used to have one in the 1970s.
Oh,
and they're
really?
very good for anyone who's got an allergy, which we didn't have, but
Oh, there we go.
gorgeous dogs.
Thanks a lot, Susan.
I'm in love with Sprockers right now because we got a baby Sprocker.
Oh. Right, let's see if Paul in Southsea can answer correctly. Hey, Paul.
Hello, hi.
Oh, good morning to
So
you.
what do you think is the oldest church building in Britain?
Well, I'm going to have a go at St Martin's in Canterbury because it's got Roman bricks in it.
Ah, okay. Sounds good.
But it's not right, Paul. Sorry.
Paul.
Never mind. Nice to talk to you, John, on air rather than just off stage. And I've ordered Solvay, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, right,
I'm
okay.
the Solvay man.
Oh, you're the Solvay man. Yes, Solvay, the Swedish singer who lives in America, and yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Right, should we give a second clue then?
We can give a second clue.
All right, it was founded by Saint Ced.
St. Ced?
Saint Ced in 654 AD. I've never even heard of Saint Ced.
Well, if you'd been around then, because I was, you'd have known him. Yeah, this is the oldest church building in Britain. It was founded by St. Ced in round about 654 AD. 08450 21 21 21.
You're listening to Inspirational Breakfast.
Yes, and we're still joined in the studio by Nick Mayhew Smith, who's written this fabulous book that we're giving away in our competition today, Britain's Holiest Places. And we've been asking you about some of the holy places that you've been to, and also what does that even mean for somewhere to be holy. Hello to Guinea, who's tweeted us at Premier Radio saying Walsingham in Norfolk, an amazing place to go on pilgrimage. I've been probably every year of my life since I was 3.
Have you really?
Yes.
My goodness.
To Walsingham in the
That's
summer.
impressive.
So I
Wow.
agree. And Shoshana has tweeted us at Premier Radio saying holy means set apart to God. So any place, house, land, building can be holy, but that also means a place can be defiled. Do you agree with this, Nick?
Oh, I think that's absolutely right. Anywhere could be holy, in the same way any person could be holy. We're all open to being inspired, but there are places which are more given over, and where people have gone and had sort of ongoing spiritual experiences or encounters, or merely feel some attachment to the place, which marks them out. And I think it's very much a kind of relationship between you and the place. So you go somewhere and you either feel it helps you and it may inspire you, you feel it's holy and given over to contemplation, or it may not work for you. And it's the same really with people. I know, we all know people who inspire us, and we know people who probably rather irritate us as well.
There is a mysterious element to this, though, as well, isn't there? Take off your feet, said God to Moses. You're standing on holy ground in front of the burning bush. And I'm thinking of times like the Welsh revival, when I'm told that where people were praising God, there would be people walking by in the street outside, suddenly fall to their knees and repent of their sins, and all they were doing was walking past the church. There was
Certainly
a
something
holy
there.
glow going on in some way that nobody can really explain. I mean, how do we explain things like that? Well, wait, we can't explain them, I suppose. But
Well, if you want to, I mean, a lot of people sort of want to go back to the Bible on everything with religion, and if you want an example to look at and think about, the Transfiguration is probably the point where you see the world is kind of aglow with Christ's presence. In the same way with the burning bush, it's a similar kind of setting. Christ goes up a mountain, and Christ often goes up a mountain in the New Testament, in the Gospels. So he himself interacts with the landscape. He goes up in his temptation in the wilderness. He goes up to a high place and out into the wild. The Transfiguration and Golgotha is also traditionally seen as being a hill.
Right.
So and of course the Sermon on the Mount as well, which
Yeah,
we
yeah.
emulate every time we step up into the altar to preach to people. So there is a kind of landscape interaction in Christianity, which does have a very, it's very, very deep set within it. It's a little bit obscured, I think, but there's no reason why we can't go and sort of retrace those steps. And
there have been places, Nadja and I were talking about this earlier, where there have been revival after revival over the years, and where churches always succeed, and there are other places where churches always seem to fail or falter or just not do well.
I mean,
is there a geography to places, holiness geography?
I've often wondered when I was going around, there's a lot of pagan sites, very early pre-Christian sites, where the people would worship in probably more closely to nature, with the hills and trees and so on, and Christians would come along, and obviously it was quite easy to write a kind of Christian narrative over an existing holy site. So if you had a sacred yew grove, for example, it's quite easy to reinterpret the tree as being important in Christianity, with, of course, the tree of life in Garden of Eden and the cross on which Christ was crucified. So it's quite easy to kind of reincorporate the landscape, to rewrite it. And so there's a lot of very, very ancient trees and yews, for example, with early churches placed alongside.
Yes,
and holy wells too. The pagans might have revered a holy well for reasons unknown now, but it's very easy to incorporate a kind of natural spring of water into Christian tradition with baptism and, of course, the well at Bethesda, which Christ visits.
Yeah.
And during your 5 years of compiling all of this, did you come across any places that were holy but rather strange?
Oh, lots of very strange places, and lots of very strange things went on. One very memorable place was trekking into the depths of the Peak District. One gloomy, rainy day, which is a typical August day, really. On my travels, I had the worst of the weather for the last 5 years. And in the middle of this sort of outcrop of rock, there's this little cave tucked in underneath, with an ancient yew tree standing guard by the entrance. And you go inside there, and you can just make out on the wall a rough carving of Christ on the cross.
Oh, right.
And it's believed to date somewhere around the 14th century, and there's a stone circle nearby just to complete.
Is this near Abraham's Heights, is it called?
I'd have to look up.
In Derbyshire somewhere.
It's in Derbyshire,
Near
yes.
Matlock.
It probably is near that, yeah. It's kind of nowhere near anywhere, this place.
Right.
You just have to sort of walk through.
Right. And what,
outside.
did you get any sense of it being a special place somehow?
Well, what was there is this cave, and it was a hermit's cave,
right.
And this dank little sort of golem-like interior was a place of inspiration, and a hermit would live in this cave, which was really probably one of the least hospitable places I've ever been. Right. And they would live this kind of meagre existence that was designed to emulate Christ's suffering on the cross.
So what were they doing there?
They would pray in front of their crucifix on the wall.
All day, every day?
Many hours in the day. They would contemplate the crucifix that was carved on the wall, and it was someone like that is the most, extreme ascetic kind of out of this world experience. And to go there and just kind of think, what devotions drove our ancestors? What kind of experience it must have been to be there in this cave in the middle of nowhere? How devout must you have been? And what does that tell us today? You go there now, and you really get there a kind of otherworldly sense of a faith that's almost intangible now. This kind of it sort of lingers there.
Right.
And what was the best holy place, if there can be a best holy
the place that you came away from and you
yeah.
thought, I feel closer to God after that?
Well, I would suggest you watch everybody as part of their Lenten devotions watches the episode in the programme that's coming out starting today on shrines, and by lucky hap it is broadcast on Maundy Thursday, 8:30 p.m. And if you want to see what a shrine is, because I know there's debates in Christianity whether we have shrines or not, watch that, and at the end we go to an enchanted little church at the head of a Welsh valley called Pennant Melangeth, and there we actually filmed it on a day it had snowed, and then the sun came out, so it looks vaguely like heaven in a Hollywood film. This beautiful, peaceful setting, and at the end of this valley, up a tiny little road, is this church dedicated to a saint called St. Melengeth, and she was an early saint who literally lived on her own amid the wildlife, and she loved the landscape, and she loved the hares there in particular, and she would protect them from hunters. And it's a very humble story, and her valley is so peaceful and so set apart from the world, and it's a testament to a woman's love for the land. And I think if you go there, I went there and was very moved, and since then I've met a lot of Christians who've said to me they went to Penant Melengeth, and just you can almost feel the place alive with this kind of very beautiful but very almost primal link to creation.
We have to go there and do a programme.
Yeah, you're making me want to travel this country.
I'm not sure I don't think you can even get a mobile phone signal there, so you might have to take your tape recorder.
That's no good.
Well, we'll be hearing more from Nick as we move towards the end of the show. But we've been asking you about holy places. What do you think a holy place really is, and what's your favourite holy place? This message has come in from Gail, and she says, "Morning both. During a heartbreaking time 4 years ago, I did nothing other than pray, pray and pray. My living room was my sanctuary of peace. My vicar said he could sense God when he visited. Equally, Mount St. Bernard's Abbey in Leicestershire, I believe she's saying, has an amazing peace. I believe that constant prayer and reverence creates a holiness in that place."
Terrific stuff.
That's from Gail.
Keep them coming.
Keep them coming in. 08450 21 21 21, or you can text us as she did to 66777, making sure you do start your text with the word Premier, and we'll hopefully also find a winner to...
Yeah.
Where am I?
Time's running out.
You're listening to Inspirational Breakfast.
Still joined in the studio by Nick Mayhew Smith, where we've been having a look at his book Britain's Holiest Places, and we're also hoping that somebody's going to win it right now.
Where am I?
Yeah, that's the question. The clue said this. This is the oldest church building in Britain. And the second clue, and there are 4 clues actually, but we've only got to the second one. It was founded by St. Ced in around about 654 AD. Who's on the line, Naj?
It's Joan in Peterborough. Hey, Joan.
Hi, Joan. Hello there.
Hello.
Yes, I know my answer's wrong now by the second clue.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay.
Give it to us anyway.
Well, I did say Fotheringhay Church is at St Mary and All Saints in Fotheringhay, but it's in England, you see.
Yeah, it can be in England.
No, what I meant was, yes, but I think your answer might be the older one.
Okay,
well, Nick's here with us. Fotheringhay. Do you know that?
I know of Fotheringhay. I didn't have it marked down as the oldest church in the
country. I know it was started the building in 1411, so perhaps that's not true.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes, this is definitely older. Never
Good
mind.
Try, though, Joan.
Thank you very much indeed, Joan.
No, well, it was just fun talking, and I thought it was a chance until I heard the second clue.
There's always a chance.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Let's try Rob in Sleaford. Hey, Rob.
Hello there.
Hi.
Hello.
How's Lincolnshire? It's Lincolnshire, isn't it? How's Lincolnshire this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's St Peter's on the Wall at Bradwell-on-Sea.
Do you?
I do, yes.
That's very specific.
I've been there a few times.
Have you?
Is it old?
It's quite a walk. It's about a mile walk from the end of East End Road at Bradwell.
Yeah.
And you walk, and a bird sanctuary sort of place.
Right.
And it's right on the coast. It's a marvellous area. If you're a bird watcher, it's a marvellous place to go to.
Okay.
I'll go there tomorrow.
Well, let's see.
I don't know if it's right or not.
Well, let's see if it is.
You are absolutely right.
Oh, great stuff.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Nick was nodding his head during all of that. You're absolutely right. I think there's a drive out from Bradwell to the car park, and then it's a bit of a walk.
It's a lovely place as well. There's a big shell beach there where you can go on.
Yeah.
And also, it's an ideal place for sea fishing. If you.
Oh right, yeah. Well, I've done some sailing training around there and run into that shell beach once or twice.
Rob, anyone you want to say hello to?
Well, anyone who knows me in the village where I live, and because you used to live around that way at Bradwell.
Oh, did you? Okay.
In a little village called Tillingham. I don't know if you know it.
I don't know the name. I don't know the name. You're gonna love this book. You're gonna absolutely love it. So a copy on its way to you.
All right. Thanks a lot for getting in touch, playing this competition, and it's from Nick Mayhew Smith, who's still in the studio with us. Nick, from tonight, Britain's Holiest Place is going to be on TV now. It's not just a book, but it's a TV series.
Yeah, we're going to be on, and here we are on the radio as well.
Yeah.
So the country will be sick of hearing from me by the end of all this.
Not
I'm
at
sure.
all. It's obviously very interesting.
It is. It's a kind of thing. It's given over to television. It's some beautiful places. So if you just want to sit back and have a look at some of the extraordinary sites around the country that people of faith have created, and landscapes that they've worked and had experiences in. It's a great programme that they've put together, the Beeb and S4C, and it starts tonight at 8:30 on BBC 4. And I've been told by the BBC if it goes on BBC 4, it gets fewer viewers than if it's on any of the other channels.
Oh, really?
I've no idea how that works, really, but apparently.
I know there's BBC 1, 2, 3 and 4, so I don't know how many watch each, but it's still the BBC.
It is indeed. It's still the BBC. Comes through the same system on my thing.
And did I read somewhere that you went to certain modern day shrines like Mark Bolan's shrine? Did I read that? It's not in the book.
It's not in the book. No, I actually went to school round the corner from Mark Bolan's shrine, so I know of it through that. And we wanted to show there that really all these places, there's a human narrative that anybody can understand. We didn't want just to say this is this sort of alien set of medieval superstitions that are kind of left over from the past, which we kind of look at.
Yes, because the idea of roadside shrines has grown in the past few years, hasn't it, in Britain? One often sees them where someone's been tragically killed in an accident.
We have, and I think that's really, that is one of the fundamental purposes of certainly Christianity and of any religion, is to console people who've died. And the churches are there, places where we remember those who've gone before us. Churches, its sacramental purpose is for the communion service or listen to the Bible, but actually any church is, or pretty much any church, is surrounded by a cemetery, and the monuments on the wall are to those we loved who've gone before. So I think there's a sort of the basic fundamental needs which are met, which are very well met, I would say, of course, being a church minister myself, by Christianity. And I think we wanted to show the kind of universal aspects, rather than the kind of the sort of ways that Christianity is marginalised. We wanted to show that actually it can be as relevant to anybody.
Were there any particular places you visited that didn't make it to the book? You think I would like to have put that in, but there just wasn't room.
Or 501.
And therefore, could there be a point, Britain's Holiest Places 2, return of Britain's Holiest Places?
Well, it's the next stop will be Ireland, probably. And
yes, there'll be plenty there.
I think I probably need a year or two off before I even begin to contemplate that. But yes, there are some places which I've often thought about doing, maybe something for the internet or something. Some of the sites that didn't quite make it, they'd often be places which are, underneath the Sainsbury's car park, for example, that you just have maybe a little stone plaque that some architect had begrudgingly put up to say this is where we used to have a monastery or whatever.
Rather like the body recently found under the car park in Leicester.
Well, that's a very good point. That's exactly it. Leicester car park, built over a site of an ancient abbey, which was so holy it used to house the graves of kings.
And I always think of the site of next to the garden in Jerusalem, where the Arab buses back up to the wall with the skull in it and belch diesel all over the wall.
Oh, really?
And you think, my goodness, if this was the Golgotha, then wow, what are we? Not exactly revering it today.
No, well, it's also these are places which do have, they're part of the real world as well, which is why I like them so much. You're kind of we talked about the New Room in Bristol. You're there in the middle of a very busy shopping centre, and then there's this ancient building or sort of wooden interior which exudes its own calm and peace, right in the middle of a shopping centre, which was built by the Methodists. It's the first purpose-built Methodist chapel.
Right.
So you've got that kind of little haven in the middle of a city.
Well, Nick, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you today. But before you go, I've got to say this is a far cry from your other book that came out in 2004. I believe it's called Bare Beaches, a guide to the world's best beaches for skinny dipping.
Yes, I did. I did write a book. It was quite a few years ago, but also with that book, when I was doing my Holy Places book, I kind of thought, well, I have to leave all that behind and grow up and be a respectable member of society now. And quite early on in my research, I discovered that an awful lot of early saints would undress and go into the sea to pray, as St Cuthbert praying with otters, and so on. And they would actually have a more kind of rounded view of the body and creation. So there were early devotions.
Praying with otters undressed.
Praying with
Do
otters.
they nip?
I didn't go to the beach where St Cuthbert did, but it was a storm blowing, so I'm afraid that question remains unanswered.
Oh, fantastic! So where can we watch this program and get your book as well, Nick?
Well, the book's out pretty much anywhere you can buy books, or certainly if it's not in a bookshop, they'll order it for you.
Yeah.
So the book's on general distribution, and the programme starts tonight on BBC4 at 8:30 p.m. and it runs for 6 weeks, so it can be a little bit of Lenten devotion for people to.
Fantastic.
You can also go online to holybritain.co.uk. Yes. Thank you very much, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. It's
My pleasure.
Been fascinating.
You're listening to Inspirational Breakfast.